there's no way I'm not gonna make Bill's jester costume, so I'm starting with his feet. And I like the idea of something like this, but they were like $300 and they're not even available, so I thrifted this jacket for $8 and used other jester boots for an additional Bill costume, which will come later, to kind of figure out what piece of the jacket could fit which piece of the boots. The area with the buttonholes and the buttons made like a nice thin piece to just expand the amount of space that I could get around my thigh without just using the sleeve, because the sleeve wasn't wide enough for the thickness. And then in the front, I used this little like diamond shape to kind of flare it out decoratively. This torso piece went mostly around my leg, but not all the way around my calf. But it would go around my ankles, so I pinned what would fit around my ankles. And then I took another smaller piece that seemed like it could fit like at least half my foot, and just sort of loosely, like vaguely put it where it's gonna attach. Because this was really just kind of off the seat of my pants, and there was a lot of finagling. But to fill in the calf, I had to make a pattern piece. So I did saran wrap and masking tape, and then drew on that where the piece would line up, and then cut that out. And then cut that out of the pockets, because those were small pieces that I could use. And then the part that went around my thigh needed the strips coming off of it, so I pinned like how far apart they needed to be, cut those out, and then I had to sew the bottom of that to the lower part of the leg. So I had to pin all those while they were on, because it was the only way to like make sure it lined up where it made some kind of sense. The feet were a nightmare and a blur, and I don't even want to talk about it, but they looked really cute when I finished them, at least, with the little toes and everything. But the strips, I wanted them to stay a certain distance apart, so I wanted to sew in a little panel of fabric that made it so it was all just kind of one thing. So I used this fabric to create a pattern for that, and then used a tiny little piece of red velvet to hold that together, but the whole thing wouldn't stay up. So I made it all one piece with the thrifted leggings, and now it'll actually stay where I need it to stay, and that darker red will pop once I have the actual like tunic part of it, which will also be the brighter red. But he has the little balls on the end, which I would assume are also like red jingle bells, but I did pom-poms because I didn't want the weight to drag down the little toes.